Hello all, I'm Suyash, an educator on Unacademy. You can follow me on Unacademy learning app where you can find my other courses also. This lesson is on idioms and phrases in which I'll be talking about n number of idioms, which we can actually use in our daily life to make our conversations more and more interesting and happening. And also please do not forget to rate, review and share this lesson. And also one more thing, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find multiple courses on multiple topics. And this is my profile, and here's the link where you can just follow me. You can find this link in the description of this video also. And do not forget to shoot all your questions, any doubt, any query which you are having in your mind while speaking English, while using all these idioms and phrases. You can just directly shoot that in the comment box below, and all your questions will be answered for sure. Okay, so moving on, in this lecture also we'll be talking about some more idioms and phrases, and here we have the very first one of this lecture, that is jump the gun. So when I'm saying jump the gun, then it actually doesn't mean that there's a jump which is kept on the floor and I'm jumping over it. So it's not like that. When I'm saying jump the gun, it actually means to do something too early, especially without thinking. When a bullet just we just shoot someone, then bullet actually escapes from the gun very fast, in a very fast way. So similarly, we say jump the gun when someone does something too early without thinking too much about it. Whenever any person is doing something too early in a very fast way without even thinking about it much, then we call it that he is jumping the gun. Like for example, we have, don't you think you are jumping the gun by finalizing the deal with him so soon? You have just met him once. Now you are a CEO or you are the manager of any company and you need to just finalize a deal. Now you have met that person, you have met that person only once with whom you are to finalize the deal, and you are just finalizing the deal after meeting once. So obviously I'll say to you that don't you think you are jumping the gun? Don't you think that you are making a decision too early? Don't you think that you are doing this too early? You are finalizing the deal too early. You have just met him once. At least just know about him, that how what type of person he is, how he actually does the business and all these things. After that, just go for it now. So obviously what I'll say, that you are jumping the gun. Okay, the next is keep one's fingers crossed. Now this is a phrase which we actually use extensively. Now you must have heard about this phrase various times in your life, and which actually means to keep hoping that all will go well. Now whenever you keep hoping that everything will go well, everything will happen in a good way, that time we call it, or we use this phrase, keep one's fingers crossed. When you have a hope in your mind that everything will happen, everything will happen in a good way, everything will actually go well, nothing bad will happen, everything will go in your favor. Okay, things will be good for you in future. So whenever we have such a hope, then we say keep your fingers crossed. Like for example, we are keeping our fingers crossed that he will win this championship this time. Now maybe he must have lost this championship many times in past, but now we are just keeping our fingers crossed. We are hoping that all will go well. We are hoping that he will win this championship this time for sure. Okay, so we can just use this, keep your fingers crossed. The next one is a storm in a teacup. Now a storm in a teacup. Now can you imagine that in a teacup we can have a storm? Obviously we cannot have. There's no sense of talking about a storm which is taking place in a teacup. Obviously, similarly, the meaning of this phrase is a lot of unnecessary anger and worry about a matter that is not important. In the same way, like we cannot have a storm in a teacup. There is no need of having a storm, or there is no scope of having a storm in a teacup. Similarly, there is no need of having unnecessary anger and worry about a matter that is not important. A matter which is actually not important, then there is no need to have a lot of anger, unnecessary anger and worry about that matter. Why should I have when it is not important? So that time if it happens, then we call it a storm in a teacup. when you take when you worry too much, when you get angry unnecessarily over such minor issues which are not very important, then we call it a storm in a teacup. For example, you are just making a storm in a teacup over this. I've just been 5 minutes late. Now a friend asked you to come and you just got 5 minutes late. Obviously it's okay if you got 5 minutes late. There must be some reason behind it, some traffic or something else. There must be some valid reason for that. 5 minutes late is not a very big issue, but still he is just getting hell like angry. He's worrying too much. So what you'll say, you are just making a storm in a teacup. Okay, this is just a minor issue. I've just been 5 minutes late. That's okay. Okay. The next one is wine and dine someone. So when I'm saying wine and dine someone, so obviously I'm going to talk about something which is related to food and the drinks, because wine and dine someone, and this wine and dine someone actually means to entertain someone with expensive food and drinks. Now when you are going to entertain someone with the expensive food and the drinks, that time you call wine and dine. Okay. Now what happens is, let's say you are you're working in a company, and now your job is to hire new clients, get the new clients for the company. So obviously you will be meeting new clients various times, and there will be times when you will be just taking them out for a dinner or for a lunch. So that is what you are doing. What you are just taking them, you are just having them, or you are just you just wine and dine them. You do what? You wine and dine them. Okay, you just entertain them with expensive food and drinks. Why? Because you want them to get on your board. Okay, so for example, we have they wine and dine their clients in the best hotels of the city. Obviously they have some clients, and they are the clients from whom they are earning a lot of money. So obviously when those clients will be visiting their city, then the company will actually treat them as a very honorable guest, and they will actually wine and dine the clients in the best hotels of the city, isn't it? So that's how we use this wine and dine someone. The next one is dog in the manger. Now what is this dog in the manger? Now this is a bit confusing. It means when a person owns something. Now you are a person, you own something, but doesn't need it. Now let's say you have something, you have one notebook or you have one book, but you don't need it now. Okay, but still prevent others from enjoying that or using that. Now is just understand it with a simple example. You have one book of your own, and you don't need that book these days. There's no need of having that book these days, but still and your brother needs that book, but still you just don't allow your brother to use that book. You always stop him, you always just scold him whenever he just touches that book. You always stop him to use that book. So whenever such cases arise, then we call that dog in the manger. That person is actually called as a dog in the manger. Okay, so whenever you are having something, whenever you are owning something, but you don't need it at that time, and still you are asking others to not to use that, you are just preventing others from enjoying that, from using that, then you will be called as a dog in the manger. Like for example, stop being such a dog in the manger and let your brother use your book if you are not using it. Obviously, if you have a book which you are not using but your brother wants to use, then allow him, let him use that book. Don't be what? Don't be a dog in the manger. Okay, so this is how we use this phrase. So that's all for this lecture. We will be talking about some more interesting idioms and phrases in the next lecture. Thank you very much. This is Suyash signing off.